One of the rules we have here at StoryGrid is we don't want any bleachers in our arena. There's no spectators allowed. If you're going to be in our arena, you need to be down, getting the shit kicked out of you just like everybody else. You're not allowed to just sit up in the bleachers and spectate and make comments on what everybody in the arena should actually be doing. And the way this shows up in the writing world is a lot of times in writer groups, where you join a writer group and there's a bunch of people in there and you're all trying to make each other better writers. But it can be really hard because sometimes there's a lot of people that just want to talk about writing and pontificate about writing and tell you what you're doing wrong, but they're not actually doing the writing and turning it in either. A lot of times too, there can be a lot of ego that gets stuck in this and everybody starts getting hurt feelings and everything. So here at StoryGrid, we figured out a really strong, methodical way to run a writers group that avoids a lot of the downsides of most writers groups. And I want to walk you through that now. So if you're looking to join a writers group or get some writers to help you level up your own writing, this is a great way to run a writers group. And this comes from the workshops that we run every month. So we run these scene writing workshops, and over 6 weeks, we teach people both how to analyze scenes and how to write better scenes. And out of a lot of these workshops has come writers groups. So students in the scene writing workshops get together and they keep their own groups going. And it's really cool. We have a group of 5 people that still have their group going week after week from our very first workshop. So I'm going to walk you through these principles on how to run a really strong writers group and how you can do it in a way that will make you a better writer without all of the downsides that often happen. Now, my name is Tim Grahl. I'm the CEO of StoryGrid, and I'm the author of The Shithead, The Threshing, and Running Down a Dream. My partner, Shawn Coyne, is the creator and founder of StoryGrid, and he's a writer, editor, and story researcher with over 30 plus years of experience, and he's had a long and successful track record in the publishing industry. So everything I teach in this video and everything at StoryGrid is based on his long-standing experience and success in the publishing industry. Okay, so let's jump in and look at these principles and how to run a really strong writers group that will help you level up your writing. The first couple principles I want to look at is just how we approach this whole thing of giving feedback. And first and foremost, we have to make sure that it's not about the ego, it's about the work. But this isn't just for the writer, it's for both the feedback giver and the feedback receiver. So whenever you're giving the feedback, you've got to make sure you're there in service to the writer. It's not about you looking smart or coming across like you know what you're talking about. But then also, if you're the one receiving the feedback as the writer, you have to just take the feedback, understand that the other person is there just to help you. And again, there's so many things in the rest of what I say that goes into the ego part. If you have a clean rubric about what you're actually giving feedback on, really clear ways to give that feedback that isn't just random or based on what you like or don't like, that makes all of this easier as well. The other thing that makes this easier is that everybody in your group should be turning in a scene every single time you meet. Because if there's ever somebody that's not turning in scenes, but they're giving feedback, that creates a really bad environment as well. So every week, every participant of the group should be sitting in both of these seats. They are both giving feedback and receiving feedback each and every meeting. The other thing is to keep the group small. We want to keep the group to 3 to 5 maximum. So you don't want to have a group that has 7, 8, 10, 15. I've seen groups that are 20 large, and there's just no way you're going to be able to do that in any kind of efficient way. It's going to be a situation where not everybody can get feedback. And so we want to make sure we keep the group small and intimate. This also ensures that you are closer to each other so that when you're getting feedback, you know it's coming from somebody that cares about you. And it makes sure that the meetings are really efficient and they can be done in less than an hour. And so when we're running these feedback sessions, we found that there's some really standard practices that make them go really well and make sure that everybody's getting what they need. So the first is that the scenes are submitted 2 days ahead of time. And so whenever the meeting is, we want to make sure the scenes get submitted 2 days ahead. That way everybody has time to review and do their feedback in time. Additionally, each person is assigned only one scene to analyze. This is really important. This is where groups fall down a lot, is that everybody feels like, well, if I've got 5 people in my group, I have to read 4 scenes on top of write my own scene every time that we meet. We don't want to do that. So you only have to turn in your scene and you have to analyze one other scene. But I do think you should all rotate. That way everybody is getting analyzation from other people and having a chance to analyze everybody in the group. But each week you're only assigned one scene to analyze. We also want to make sure that when we're presenting the problems, that we're presenting the error signals plus positive comment. There's all these great quotes out there. My favorite is from Bill Hader that all basically say the same thing, which is if somebody tells you something's wrong with your writing, they're probably right. When they tell you how to fix it, they're probably wrong. And that's because you're the writer. You know your writing. You know what needs to go in your story. But as the person doing the analyzation and giving the feedback, your job is to just present error signals. And that we should do that against an actual rubric. Now, I'm going to go over that rubric in just a minute, but we want to just provide error signals. There was not a clear inciting incident, or the turning point wasn't on the page, or there was no clear object of desire. We don't want to say things like, well, the middle was a little soft, or I didn't really like the character didn't resonate with me. We never want to give soft feedback. We want to give clear error signals of something that was wrong. I also think that the person giving the feedback should always give positive comments. I really like the way you did this, or I really like the way you did that. As somebody that has personally analyzed hundreds and hundreds of scenes, there's always something positive that you can say. So you want to present the error signals. Here's where I saw what was wrong, and be really clear about what that is, and then provide positive comments. Here's what I liked about your writing. From there, the writer is allowed to ask clarifying questions. So this is an important process. Each parts of this, you need to go in order, because the person giving the feedback, analyzing the scenes, needs to present the error signals and the positive comments. Then the writer has a chance to ask clarifying questions. So if they didn't understand something, or they weren't sure about what something was said, they're able to ask clarifying questions. Now, this can't turn into argument, so they can't start arguing with the person giving the feedback about the feedback, because it is ultimately up to the writer whether to take the feedback or not. But the most they can do is ask clarifying questions. And at this point, the writer is allowed to ask for ideas on how to fix it. Now, you notice up until this point, the person giving the feedback, you're not allowed to give ideas on how to fix the problems with the scene. But if the writer does want to invite some feedback about how they could make it better, that is where you, as the person giving the feedback, could offer your thoughts on the ways that they could fix the problems, ultimately knowing the writer will probably come up with something on their own. And then ultimately, we want to go through each scene in less than 10 minutes. We want the whole meeting to last less than an hour. So if you have 5 people, that leaves time for about 5 minutes of preamble. You go through each scene in less than 10 minutes and then 5 minutes at the end. I know from experience this should be totally possible to do. If you have your feedback ready to go, as soon as it's your turn, it's pretty easy to go through the error signals, go through the stuff that you like, and still have time for the writer to ask questions. But we want to make sure, I recommend setting the timer. You set the timer, and then there's 10 minutes, and the person giving the feedback goes as fast as they can, so the writer has time to ask any clarifying questions. If you do get into brainstorming how to fix the scene, we need to cut that off right at 10 minutes and go to the next person. That ensures that every person on the call gets the same amount of time for their scene. And again, that keeps it from having one person dominate the entire time, which happens so often in writers' groups. So make sure you go through each scene in less than 10 minutes. If you want to talk more, then once the meeting is officially over at that hour mark or that 45-minute mark, then you could talk in offline or in another conversation or keep going. But at that hour mark, you should let everybody go. That way, everybody knows it's only going to be an hour that they're required to be on the call. So now let's look at what kind of things that you're actually giving feedback on. So the first part is to identify the protagonist. So the protagonist of your scene isn't necessarily the protagonist of the entire story. It's the protagonist of this particular scene. And a lot of times we see writers put the wrong person in the protagonist role. So the protagonist of the scene is the person whose life was knocked offline by the inciting incident, and they are the one that makes the climax decision in the scene. And again, that's not always the global protagonist, so we have to look at and identify who the protagonist was in this particular scene. And then we want to look at the objects of desire of both the protagonist and any other active characters in the scene. What are their objects of desire? We have to make sure that they're in conflict, because that's what creates all of the tension in the scene and actually moves it forward and ensures something changes. And then finally, the 5 commandments of storytelling: the inciting incident, turning point, crisis, climax, and resolution. These are the things that I think you should stop at when you're giving feedback on a scene, because these are the most important parts, is identifying the protagonist, identifying the objects of desire, and then the 5 commandments of storytelling. Now, if you are thinking about running a writer's group or giving feedback on other people's scenes, or just wanting to analyze your own scenes better, we have the entire rubric that we use in our workshops that I want to offer to you now. You can go to storygrid.com/checklist and download the exact 13-part rubric that we use to analyze scenes, along with the process we use to provide the analyzation. If you are thinking about doing this for your own writing or for somebody else's, I highly recommend you download that. The link is also down in the description if you just want to click there. The number one thing to remember when you're running a writer's group is that everybody is there to become a better writer, to serve the writing, not to serve their own ego. And the number one rule I have is that there's no bleachers in the arena. Nobody's allowed in the writer's group that just wants to spectate, just wants to offer and pontificate on writing and what's wrong with your writing, but they're not willing to actually show up and show their writing in every single meeting. So that's the number one rule. And then from there, make sure that you run it in a really systematic way to make sure everybody gets the same view of their writing, gets the same time committed to their writing, and keep it short enough that you'll actually keep doing it every single week. But a writer's group is a really strong way to improve your writing and improve your own analyzation skills over a long period of time. So highly recommend you join one and use this system that I taught to do it. If you want to learn more about StoryGrid and how we can help you level up your writing, you can go to storygrid.com. Also, check out the workshops that we have available if you want to jump into one of those as well. But as always, thanks for being a writer. Thanks for being a part of our community here at StoryGrid, and I'll see you next time.